She moved toward a diagnostics panel and touched it with her fingertips. It sparked in response. Symbols flared, and in an instant, she projected a holographic map of the station's energy lattice. There, she said, pointing to a dim, pulsing node. That is about to fail. I stared. That's impossible. That node was inspected yesterday. Then the inspector was blind. Indeed, minutes later, alarms blared. The node failed. Emergency lights flashed. And if not for her earlier warning, the overload would have ruptured an entire deck. We repaired it with her help. Or rather, we struggled while she fixed it with a single touch that somehow convinced the failing resonator to restabilize. You knew this would happen, I said, panting. I heard it. Through what? Those fractal legs of yours. Her smile softened. Through every part of me. My form is more fluid than you assume. The secret of her species as repairs continued, Scifiaudio spoke more freely. We are called the Everin, she said. Travelers not of space, but of probability. Probability. We cross the folds between possible outcomes, navigating through resonance, through songs of existence that your species has not yet learned to hear. And the legs? Asked before I could stop myself. She laughed lightly. Our bodies are fractal matrices. This shape is for your comfort. But in truth, we are patterns. Patterns with attitude. She winked. Naturally. I grew more fascinated and more uneasy, because the more she talked, the more I sensed she wasn't just visiting for maintenance. Something felt off. Then she said it. My vessel ran not on energy, but on choice. And I have exhausted too many. I stiffened. Exhausted? She touched my shoulder gently. Her skin was warm, warmer than human. Calm. I do not harvest choices from minds, if that's what you fear. Then where do you get them? From possibilities. From the infinite directions the universe might take. But I have seen too many. I swallowed. Meaning? She looked toward the window at her ship. I am dying. The word struck like a meteor. I didn't know what to say. Her glowing eyes flickered, dimming slightly. My form collapses. The fractal lattice becomes rigid. Soon I will be locked into one shape forever. And when that happens, I will break apart. Then why come here? I asked. Because your station sits at a weak point between realities. A place where I may choose one last path and restore myself. And if you fail? She looked at me with a small, almost embarrassed smile. Then my death will not be peaceful. The ship outside pulsed harder, brighter. The humming grew louder. What are you about to do? I whispered. Shift. Ending. The choice she made. Scifiaudio entered her vessel. The air shook. Every panel in the docking ring flickered violently. I should have evacuated. Protocol screamed at me to flee. But something anchored me. Maybe her honesty. Maybe her strange, quiet loneliness. Inside the ship, her silhouette swayed as though caught in an unseen current. Light spilled from the hull, bending time around it. My ears popped. My vision warped. And her voice echoed. If this fails, you must seal the ring, no matter what emerges. But I couldn't move. I watched as her body distorted, fractal limbs splitting, blending, folding into themselves. The ship sang louder, an impossible chord of every note that could ever exist. Then it ruptured. Not physically, but reality around it cracked like glass. Through the fractures, I saw impossible things. Versions of the station where I never existed, where Cerithia was a monstrous aurora of shifting limbs, where she was light itself, where she was dust among stars. She screamed, not in pain, but in transformation. And then suddenly it all stopped. The crack sealed. The humming quieted. The ship dimmed to a soft, steady glow. The hatch opened, and Cerithia stepped out. But she was different. Her form was solid, not shifting. Her legs were unmistakably human. Her skin was still iridescent, but calmer, anchored. Her eyes held only one voice instead of two. You, I whispered. You chose a form. She nodded. To survive, I had to choose one possibility, one existence, one version of myself. But your species, I am no longer fully Everin, she said. But I am alive. She looked down at her legs and smiled dryly. These will no longer shift. Is that disappointing? I shook my head. You're beautiful. In any form. She stepped closer. Her hand brushed mine, warm, real, grounding. You saved me by staying, she said softly. By witnessing. By anchoring me to this version of reality. I didn't do anything, I protested. You did, she insisted. You chose me, and in doing so, you gave me a path to choose. We stood in silence. The station lights finally stabilized. The danger was over, and the woman before me, no longer a living possibility, but a singular, chosen person, exhaled deeply. So, she said with a hint of mischief, do you still admire my legs? I felt my face flush. I mean, yes, absolutely. Her smirk returned, warm this time. Good, she murmured, because now they're real. She extended her hand. Come. Show me your station with these fixed legs of mine. I wish to experience being one thing. I took her hand, and together, we walked into a future, one possibility among infinite others, but the one she chose to live in. I used to think I was good at reading body language. A decade as a xenobiology liaison on orbital stations, months spent negotiating with species whose faces looked like molten wax or polished bone. I thought I'd seen enough strangeness to stop being surprised. Then I met her. Her name, she eventually told me, was Cerithia, though the syllables shifted like sand through the throat, and I could never pronounce it quite right. But the first time I saw her, I didn't know her name. I only knew the station around me fell silent. It was a humid night cycle on Larco Station, the kind where the air recyclers struggled and the neon advertisements flickered like dying stars. I ducked into Docking Ring C to inspect a strange bioscan anomaly that flagged incoming Vessel 44, Delta. Nothing unusual. Cargo ships often carried spores or stray fauna that the scanners overreacted to. But the ship that arrived wasn't a cargo freighter. It was elegant, alive almost. A glossy, obsidian vessel shaped like a crescent moon, studded with bioluminescent veins pulsing in rhythmic waves across its hull. I remember staring at it and muttering to myself, well, that's new. I wasn't alone for long. The docking bridge pressurized, the hatch unsealed, and out stepped a woman who didn't look like she belonged to any species in our official records. She was tall, not imposingly so, but gracefully, with skin that shimmered like black opal under shifting light. Her hair was long and metallic silver, moving subtly as though reacting to the station's electromagnetic field. Her eyes were the most striking, vertical irises like a reptile's, but glowing faintly blue. Still, she had an unmistakably human silhouette, humanoid features, and legs, long, beautifully sculpted legs with an almost impossibly smooth gradient from thigh to calf. Identification, I asked as protocol required, but my voice cracked. Smooth. Her lips curved up in a smile that felt both amused and dangerous. Visitor, she replied. Her voice had a layered resonance, as if two versions of her spoke at once. She stepped closer, and I noticed the faintest scent of ionized air, like the atmosphere before a storm. You're humanoid? I asked. I mean, your physiology is. I stopped myself. Professionalism was collapsing fast. She tilted her head. Is what? And because humidity, exhaustion, and sheer awe had struck simultaneously, I blurted the first stupid thing that came to mind. You have really incredible legs. Her eyebrows lifted slightly. Her smile widened. Then she leaned in until her lips hovered near my ear and whispered, Look closer. Suddenly the temperature around me dropped. Her legs, the ones I had just awkwardly complimented, shimmered and rippled like disturbed water. Patterns of faint, silver geometry flickered beneath her skin, shifting and rearranging like circuitry made of starlight. Then, with a soft hum, the skin split into segments. Not flesh tearing, more like petals opening. Her legs weren't legs at all. They retracted. What emerged was something I had no name for. Multi-jointed, elegant, translucent limbs shaped like elongated fractals, shifting between states of matter, sometimes looking solid, sometimes fluid, sometimes like pure light. What are you? I whispered. Her smirk returned. Not what? Who? And who are you to approach my vessel with a weapon drawn? I blinked. Weapon? Then I saw it, my bioscanner, still clutched in my hand. It looked harmless to me, but perhaps to her, it was something else entirely. The translucent limbs folded back into human-like legs, seamless and smooth. She gestured toward the scanner. May I? I handed it over. She held it delicately, then pressed her thumb to it. The scanner sparked, hissed, and died instantly. I stared at the dead device. Was that necessary? She shrugged. It offended me. And that was my introduction to Serithia. Middle, the whispering engine. Serithia insisted on no escort, no translation device, no diplomatic handler. She walked beside me through the station corridor, her gaze flicking with curious precision over every screen and passing crew member. Your station is fragile, she mused. Thanks, I said, unsure if it was an insult. So, what brings you here? We're not exactly a tourist destination. My vessel requires resonance alignment, she said. And your station emits a frequency similar to what I need. Frequency? As in energy? Power? She chuckled. Not power. Harmony. I stopped walking. Harmony. Yes. You want to tune your starship like a musical instrument? She tapped her temple. Your mind is more flexible than most. Good. We reached the docking control room. I tried to process everything. An alien woman with shifting fractal legs. A living ship. And now a request to align its harmony? But when the control room's window displayed her vessel again, I began to understand. The ship was humming. Not audibly, but I felt it. Vibrations through the floor. A resonance in my bones. Rhythmic. Almost melodic. Why is it alive? I asked. Why are you? She countered. Fair. Over the next hours, we worked, if you could call it working. I ran scans. Sarithia ran her hands along the transparent console, communicating in ways the station had never encountered. Every time she touched a surface, faint symbols appeared, glowing in pale gold. Do you always appear humanoid? I asked cautiously. Do you always breathe oxygen? She countered. We adapt. You see what comforts you. That's comforting. I gestured to her limbs. She smirked. To some. Then she paused, eyes narrowed slightly. Your station, it struggles. What do you mean? The core. It is singing wrong.